In this video, guys, I'm gonna show you an opening that can win you to about 12 moves and that has a very high win rate. This opening is called the Danish Gambit and it is very rarely played because of its aggressiveness. It starts with E4, the most popular move, and the most popular response E5. And we have to go D4. And now this opening is very aggressive because once they take the pawn, we're still gonna gambit another pawn because once they take another pawn, we're gonna develop a piece. And when we develop a piece, they will take another pawn and we will take back. Now we got two pieces developed and all of their pieces are on the back rank. First, I'm going to show you the true potential of this opening and then the other lines. First, they can go bishop to e7, which is already a trap because we can just go bishop to g7 and just take the rook after they move the knight. There is another line. Knight to f6, develops a knight and is attacking our pawn. Pawn to e5 and that will attack the knight. If they go knight to e4, this is a deadly attack. We are gonna go bishop to f7, that is a check to the king and they will take. Queen to d5 is coming to a fork. We take the knight and we win the game as long as we don't lose material. So for the other lines, folks, we have, this is now the main line. Now bishop to b4 is a very aggressive line which they can check us. Now this time, if they go somewhere else, we are just gonna go and trap that rook. But folks, if they go and give us a check, that's a different story because instead of trying to trap the rook, we are gonna go block with a knight on d2, not on c3, because there are so many traps with this move. After they go knight to f6, we're just gonna go pawn to e5, and that is attacking the knight. Because if they go here and double attack our knight, we are gonna go with a counter attack of bishop to f7, and that is a check to the king. The king has to take, and we are just gonna fork them with a queen to b3. That is a check. That is a fork to the bishop. The best way is to block, and they don't know that en passant is literally there. We can just en passant, and it's still check, and it's still fork. Now, folks, what will happen is crazy. They will try to go and attack our queen. But, folks, not to worry, because we are gonna go queen takes b4. Gains our material back, while also have good piece play and an open position. But that's not all, because they can take our knight. What happens after that is that we check them, another fork to the knight, and they have to move their king. And they think that we're just gonna take the knight. No, we're not that predictable because we can just go take the pawn on c7 and we are just attacking the queen and the knight and then almost promoting to a queen. What will happen is that they will most likely move the queen. They cannot take the pawn because it's protected, and the result is we are not yet taking the knight because we are gonna go here. Why are we doing this? Why are we going there? Because, folks, this is mate. If they go queen to f7, we're just gonna promote our own pawn into a queen. Folks, if they take our queen, we take the rook. That's a check. They have to block with a queen. Folks, if that is the case, we can just take the queen, have a trade, and take the knight, and we just have plus 8 points of material, and we're just winning this game. There's another option. e5 is another option because if they go queen to f7, well, folks, we're just gonna go knight to f3. If they take our knight, well, folks, we're just gonna take back theirs. This position is quietly more advanced and also more discreet in trying to kill down the king over here, because what will happen is that we will first castle. They have to go queen to f8, and what will happen is mate in 6. We will go take the bishop on e6 and check the king. You notice this blockage, right? It looks familiar because it's already back rank check. So, folks, I recommend you to play this opening. Folks, what if those don't occur? But what if d6 does occur? This move is not very advantageous, but it is still a move. Now we're gonna take advantage of that by going knight to f3. And what will happen? They go bishop to g4 and try to pin our knight with, and we are gonna go check them again. The main concept of the Danish Gambit is to have a bishop here so that we can sacrifice this bishop and also this bishop here to support to take the rook whenever this bishop tries to develop. Now, folks, what will happen is that if they take our sacrifice, we go knight to e5. What will happen there is that if they take our knight with a pawn, it's game over because this queen is gonna take the other queen, and we just have plus 2 points of material advantage. Now, that isn't that good. Now, folks, if they don't go there and instead they go the king, we've got nothing to worry about if they move the king because, folks, queen to d5 is there and they move the king. It's mate into f7 and then The king is just exposed in the center, and we're just gonna demolish this king by going pawn to h4 by a pawn. Not only that, they have to move the king once again to get checkmated with a knight and taking a bishop. Isn't that disgusting? What if bishop to e6 happens? What if none of that happens? Instead, doing this. If they don't pin our knight and peacefully become passive. Now, folks, this is a very rare move, but still, I'm gonna talk about it. If we will take the bishop on e6 simply, and if we go take our bishop back, we are just gonna go queen to b3, in which we are gonna try to break through our opponent's side with this queen because of this very weak position of his in this side of the board. I mean, look at it. His position is just full of holes, and they have to move something in order to protect that pawn, which is the queen. Now, folks, we will go knight to g5. This double attacks the squares on f7 and on e6. This is crazy. This pressure is crazy. What will happen is they might go e5 to get away from the pressure, but that's just a ludicrous move because this is thing. This queen is just gonna get there, and that is just you got 8.2 advantage according to the computer. There's no way that black is gonna go away from this and just basically lose nothing. You're gonna take the bishop, then they're gonna move the king. You're gonna check them again, and then you're gonna move the king. And now we're gonna go queen to f8, check again. They have to move the king. If they move the king one more time when the queen is here, funnily enough, knight to f7, the king moves, and the queen is left unprotected, and we're just gonna take it. The king got disconnected because of the knight over here, which was pressuring so many pieces a while ago. This is just a crazy opening. If they go protected with the king, the pawn, well, folks, nothing to worry. We're just gonna take it. If they take it back, still though, if they take this, they are guarding this. So we're just gonna take the pawn. This rook is trapped. They have to go here, and now we're just gonna take the knight. Why are we taking the knight? Queen to e4 is just scary. And what will happen is you move your king to a spot where you are very exposed, very hard to play position, but the game is still balanced. But if you want to go for a much more safer method and much more advantageous method, you take the knight. Please don't take the rook. You're just gonna get demolished in the center. Promise me. Okay? You're a human, not a computer. Now, there are other lines. Well, folks, what if they go d5? That is a counter move. What will happen there is we take. They take back. Nothing to worry about that. This counter move is nothing to worry about. The game is still balanced, and we're just gonna take the pawn on d4. And if they go and pressure that pawn on d4, well, folks, we're just gonna go knight to f3. The center is very weak, so if they go try to pin our knight to gain the center, we're just gonna go protect it with a bishop. If they take, we're just gonna take it back. But if this happens, because they think they're smart, bishop takes knight c6, they have to take back with a pawn. Queen takes d4, just a queen to g5 is kind of a very, very pressuring move, but nothing to worry. Knight to f3, we just let them take the pawn. Why? Because rook to g1 is a option. If they go queen to h3, they've got nothing to take. That queen is just left on the corner of the board. I mean the edge, sorry. And we're just gonna take the pawn on f7. Another again. It's the same move. And again, they're just gonna take the bishop of... if they're just gonna take the bishop on f7, the knight on g5 is just there to fork. That's just a crazy fork. If they go d8, there's a solution. Rook to g7. This is attacked, right? Not really. If they go and take our rook, their other rook is trapped. And if they go over here and try to escape, folks, my, it's mate in one. Folks, but if they don't go there, e7 might be a possible move. Untrap the rooks is still a move. Counters are still a move. Remember, in chess, counters are most useful where they're in a gambit, where they're in an opening. Or I don't know what I just said. Knight to c6, that is alright. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Not really. Now for this move over here, if they go bishop to b4, that's a different story. We don't go d2 because this trap won't work. This is just nothing because like this is protected. So c3 is a possibility. Now what will happen is that if they go knight to f6, we castle, they castle, chaos will happen. Because knight to d5 is a very good positional center. They will likely take it, and we will just take back to attack the other knight. Now, folks, if they go knight to e7, nothing to worry about again, because queen to d4 is coming into a game where they can just checkmate the king over here on this side of the board with the accompaniment with the bishop. Now, folks, f6 possibility, right? But like, not really. You can move this. Now it's a fork. This is the end of the video. I think I discussed all lines. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Or no. See you guys in the next video. Peace out.